Brentford have set their price tag on Ivan Toney and it is eye-watering. But there are many clauses that the Brentford fans are going to be annoyed about. Welcome to your Premier League news. Welcome to the Footy News. In today's episode, we're going to be telling you all about Ivan Toney, the clubs that are interested in him, how much it's going to cost, and how much Brentford will get to see of that money. We've also got news of a Manchester United managerial link. It's a magician potentially making his way to Old Trafford. And on top of that, will Everton survive FFP, as both Everton and Forest are rumoured to be in big trouble? Let's get into the news and let's start it off with Ivan Toney. So Bet365 himself, Ivan Toney, is about to end his long suspension for his gambling issues, and he is coming back into the January transfer window where there is a lot of speculation about his future at Brentford. And why would there not be? Because it's such a small club and many Premier League clubs are interested. The front runners at the moment are Chelsea and Arsenal. Now, with Toney being back and available, there is talks that he might move on. Brentford are putting a strong stance on it and saying he's going nowhere until at least the summer. But they have apparently set the price tag on him at £100 million. But it's not that straightforward, because Peterborough have put in a sell-on clause onto that. That gives them 30% of the sale. So if you're a Peterborough fan, you want this to go through, as that will equate to roughly £30 million. However, let's complicate this even further, because Toney himself came to Peterborough from Newcastle, who had another 30% sell-on clause on the Peterborough sell-on clause, which would give them about £9 million of the £30 million that Peterborough would get. Are you still following? So, if he was to be sold for £100 million, Brentford would get £70 million, Peterborough would get £21 million, and Newcastle would cash in with £9 million. Everyone's going to end up happy in this deal, apart from maybe Brentford. Is he going to go though? That is the question. There have been rumours that Toney himself is quite open to the idea of leaving Brentford in this January transfer window, and apparently Arsenal would be his preferred choice. But most of the noise coming from the clubs is from Chelsea, because Chelsea are desperate currently for a striker. But how good is Ivan Toney? Well, if we look at his record in the Premier League, he has played 33 games last season and scored 20 goals, which is not a bad return at all. But even in the year before that, he played 33 games and scored 12 goals. So already in the Premier League, he has racked up 32 goals. And we all know how good his penalties are as well. Is that enough to charge £100 million for? Well, you would have to say most probably, because most strikers that come for that price who are Premier League proven, who are English, would class as homegrown as well, really do put on a bit of a tax on their money. And as a renowned goalscorer in, let's face it, not the most glamorous of clubs in the Premier League, with not the most glamorous teams, and not the most glamorous stadium, you would say that this deal would benefit every single one of these clubs. But do I see this going through in this window? I don't know. It's going to be nip and tuck. But what's interesting is he is now back and available for Brentford to face their next opponents, which of course will be Nottingham Forest in the Premier League. Will he still be in a Brentford shirt come that game at the BTEC Stadium? We'll keep you posted. With Erik ten Hag coming under increasing pressure at Manchester United, and with Ineos coming in with their takeover and Sir Jim will fix it, there is many speculations today surrounding the future of him. Apparently Ineos have sounded out Graham Potter to take over from Erik ten Hag. It's someone they've been interested in for a while. In fact, they approached him in the summer to take over at Nice, but that didn't go through. This has been informal, there's been sounding out, but this to me sounds like more and more increased pressure on Erik ten Hag, who himself has been in talks with Ineos about his future and what he can and can't do at the club. Will he still be given control over transfers after the diabolical summer Manchester United have had? This is one of many things discussed, but there's no smoke without fire, and if Ineos are now approaching new managers talking about the potential for them to take over, over. Is Erik ten Hag's days at Old Trafford numbered now? What do you guys think? Will Erik ten Hag see out the season at Old Trafford, or will Graham Potter come in? Now, Manchester United fans, how do you feel about that? Graham Potter, who did a great job at Brighton and then got rewarded with the move to Chelsea, which was absolutely disastrous, where he survived only a matter of months before being given the axe. But was it his fault at Chelsea? Or was it the actual structure of Chelsea that was the mess that caused it, as Pochettino himself is now struggling in the Chelsea job? And Graham Potter going into a Manchester United, who you could argue structure is even worse than Chelsea. Will he have success there or not if he is to go? Or will this damage his reputation further if he does go in and can't sort out the mess that is Manchester United? Would you take him at Manchester United if you're a United fan? Let us know in the comments down below. Financial fair play is the flavour of the moment right now in the Premier League, with many fans biting their nails waiting for that all-important deadline of the 14th of January. Will your club be getting a knock on the door or a letter through the post informing them that they are in breach? Currently, Nottingham Forest, Chelsea and Everton are the three clubs that are being scrutinised the most and rumoured to be in breach of FFP. However, financial experts today have come out and said they believe that Everton will just about scrape by and potentially avoid another points deduction this season, because Everton have already had 10 points taken off their tally. A further 9 would put them in huge trouble for their status in Premier League and survival this season. Nottingham Forest have of course hired a lawyer in to look after events for them. Will they be able to avoid it? And Chelsea, as we all know, seem to get away with it year in, year out. However, Manchester City are going under the radar yet again with this one, as they have still tied the FA in knots in terms of the 114 charges they currently have. And there is no real end in sight on that. But any club that is charged on the 14th of January will be deducted points or penalised, maybe financially, this season, as the rules have changed. And this is why the deadline was brought forward, to make sure that any punishment affects those clubs this season and saves the clubs that it could have affected. For example, last season, if Everton's breach had been done in that year, they would have been relegated ahead of Leicester, and Leicester would have stayed up and Everton would have gone down. So Leicester fans, how do you feel about these changes? Are they 12 months too late for you? Let me know in the comments down below. That brings you up to date with your main Premier League headlines today. Please don't forget to subscribe and like if you are new here. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.